let's take a look at when we divide integers, what is the sign change going to be? Okay, so when we divide an integer with another integer, what's going to happen to the signs? Because we could have a positive number divided by a negative number, or we could have a negative number divided by a negative number. Okay, and what sign is that going to give me? That's what this table is going to show us. Now, if you're familiar on the sign changes in multiplication, it's the same thing for divide. Okay, so we'll go through it. Now, when we divide a positive number with a positive number, it'll obviously give me a positive number. Okay? Now, let's have a look at another one. If I have a positive number divided by a negative number, we're going to get a negative sign. Okay, so the result's going to be a negative one. Now, similarly, a negative number divided by a positive number will be a negative number. Okay, and finally, when I have two negative numbers divided by each other, or a negative integer minus a negative integer, or any negative numbers, negative divided by a negative will give me a positive. Okay, so like I said, if you're familiar about multiplication of these signs, divide is also the same thing. Okay, but this is how we do it. Okay, this is a guideline of this table. Now, once we know that, let's jump into question number 1. Okay, evaluate negative 12 divided by 4. So, what do we have? We've got a negative number divided by a positive number. Let's just look at our table, just for reference. So, what do we have? We have negative divided by positive. And it gives me negative number. So, 12 divided by 4, obviously we know is 3. But we're going to focus on the sign here. So, minus 12 or negative 12 divided by 4 will give me negative 3. Okay, so that was one example. Let's try and move on and try and do question number 2. Okay, evaluate negative 12 divided by negative 3. So two negative numbers divided together. Okay, I want you guys to try and think about what result that will give me. So, just looking at our little table for guideline, negative divided by negative will give me positive. Okay, and we obviously know 12 divided by 3 is just 4, so we're going to focus on the sign here. Okay, so minus 12 or negative 12 divided by negative 3 is positive 4. Understand? Okay, I hope you guys are getting the hang of this. It's essentially the same thing as multiplying. Now, question number 3. Okay, when we have a fraction like this, it also means 12 divided by negative 4. Okay, so when you have a fraction that looks like this, it would be the same thing as the numerator divided by the denominator. Okay, so positive number divided by negative number. What do we get? Positive divided by negative is negative. So again, we know the 12 divided by 4 is obviously 3, but the sign is negative. Okay, so just don't forget, in a fraction, it just means the numerator divided by the denominator. Let's move on to question number 4. Now we have negative 12 over negative 4. In other words, negative 12 divided by negative 4. So, if we look at my table, we have negative number and a negative number. So when you divide it, it'll give me a positive result. So negative 12 over negative 4 is just positive 3. Okay, so positive number here. Now let's move on to question number 5. Simplify negative 12 over 4. So negative over positive. So what do we have? A negative result. Okay, so negative 12 over negative 12 over positive 4 is just negative 3. Okay, so one thing we need to take away from here is, again, the fraction simply means the numerator divided by the denominator. Okay, and another thing is this table here. So you don't need to memorize the table, but I want you guys to understand the interaction between positive signs and negative signs. Okay, so that's what this table is illustrating.